current 121 experience, currently operating on type in the 737, which to me means he's not going to be a training risk. So he's a safe hire. Primarily, what one of the things the airlines is looking for is, are you going to be wasteful in training in terms of financial spend to get you through a program? So if you're current in a 121 environment flying the airplane that we fly, which is a 737, you're a very low risk hire in terms of training. Now, that's the job of your resume to get you into the door. Now the interview, what the interview is going to have to do is prove that not only am I low risk from a training aspect, but I'm low risk in terms of my ability to have good longevity here. I'm not looking at this place as a stepping stone. I want to be here for a long term, and you're not going to have issues with me on the line being combative. And I can prove that in my personality in the interview, that I'm a very much a team player and people want to go on 4-day trips with me. So, when you're interviewing, it's like, hey man, that's why I say, don't increase a lifestyle based on earned income. You should take earned income, invest it for cash flow, increase your lifestyle based on cash flow. And now I'm still free to move wherever I want career-wise. The reality of it is that once you're in the door there, everything is about proximity, man. To me, it's just proximity. Like, I want to learn the game of real estate. What did I do? Go hang out with people that do real estate. I want to become more successful. What do? Go find somebody more successful than me. I'm not going to hang around with people less successful than me. They're not going to help me. How can they? They're not in that position. I need somebody who's far enough ahead that they can lead me, but they're not so far ahead that it's discouraging. You know what I mean? It's a delicate balance. And for you to be able to get.
So preparing for this, thank you for that. Preparing for this 135, since it's only a 5-day course, how would you tackle this? I'm a little bit rusty on the plane, if I can even use that. I'm probably being harder than I need to be, but how would you prepare for that?
This is the one at the end of January, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. It's a 5-day ground school, or the whole thing is 5 days?
Recurrent, 5-day recurrent.
Yeah. Okay. SIC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be, how many sims? Do you know? 2?
No, I think one every day. I think that's what the schedule said.
Okay, so I mean, look, I would definitely have an understanding of the memory items and the limitations, because that's going to come up, I'm sure. And then I would review systems as best as you can ahead of time, using whatever material you can get your hands on. It sounds like they sent you some material. So, memory items, limitations, lights and switches for the oral. I would start preparing that. And then as far as flying, the actual flying, ideally, if you can get into a sim, a 145 sim, that would be good. If you can't, then maybe just using your desktop sim, tracking the flight director, because you probably haven't done this flight director tracking in a little bit. Although September is not that long ago. So does it have the dual Q flight director?
No, the V bars.
Yeah, it's the V-bar. I would get some kind of sim that has that single Q or V-bar type flight director, you know, and then just follow the flight director, practice a few approaches. There is an Embraer 145 add-on, I'm sure, that you can get. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or too capable, just something to practice some basic stick and rudder flight director tracking. So yeah, man, memory items, limitations, lights and switches, some flight director tracking. The single engine thing to me is not even concerning, really, because the 145 is centerline thrust. The engines are on the tail. I've never flown it. I can't imagine it's overly exaggerated on the V1 cut, and if it is, maybe the sim, I don't know how accurate the sim characteristics are, but based on aerodynamics of a centerline thrust airplane, which is what you're dealing with, I can't imagine it's more aggressive than a 737. Then the other thing you could do is in the end, you could always just come do a 7.3 sim, and anything you do in the 7.3 is going to be more exaggerated than what I would expect on a 145, right? Because the engines are mounted under the wing down here. So, when I do a steep turn, thrust adds, comes in, the nose wants to come up. You're going to have to fight that. When you do stall recovery, the nose wants to come up. When you add power, you're going to have to fight that. When you do the V1 cut, it wants to yaw aggressively and roll over this way because of the how far it is, not from the center of the aircraft, but rather it's out here. So everything is going to be more aggressive on a 7.3 sim. So if you roll up here and do, a few hours in a 7.3 sim, you're probably going to do fine in a 145. The only difference is you got the ram horns, which I can't imagine is a big deal, but you know, that's what I would do. Memory items limitations, flight director tracking with a desktop sim, and then maybe a few hours in person if you can swing it. That's probably the 3 or 4 things I would do.
All right, sir. I think we've
We
probably
hit
went
it
over an
all.
hour,
Yeah, man. We went through a lot.
but I appreciate your flexibility and